Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is Cognos Deployment on iPad. Our guest speakers today are Mr. Pratyush Praveen, Practice Manager BA at IBM Software Group, and Mr. Manish P. Kotak, BI Architect at IBM Software Group. Mr. Pratyush Praveen has been working with IBM Cognos products since 2001. He comes with an experience of various large-scale BIDW implementations across Asia Pacific. Recently, he has been involved in the successful implementation of IBM Cognos Active Reports on iPad in one of the biggest banks in India. Presently, he is the Practice Manager Business Analytics in ISL in IBM India. Our second speaker, Mr. Manish, is a BI architect from IBM Software Group Services team for Cognos and has over 5 years of experience in implementing BI solutions using Cognos products. Apart from implementation, he has also been involved in training and solution reviews. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speakers. Over to you, Mr. Pratyush.
Thank you, Mani. Hello, everyone, and I hope that you can see my screen now. So, let me take this opportunity to thank the Times Group for giving us the opportunity to share our knowledge and experience with you. As already informed, I have Mr. Manish Kotak with me, who will be taking you through the best practices and do's and don'ts more on the technical aspects. And it has been there, there has been lots of talk around the industry about the Cognos deployment on especially most of the mobile devices, and especially to be highlighted is the Cognos deployment on iPad. So let us see the agenda that we will be following today. First of all, we will be introducing you to the complete IBM Cognos Mobile, and then we will be looking at the Cognos deployment on iPad, which is the major agenda of the today's discussion. And we will be looking at how Active Reports helps us on the iPad. We will be having a quick demo on the Active Reports, and then we will be discussing the do's and don'ts and the troubleshooting part. So, introduction to IBM Cognos Mobile. If we see the Cognos Mobile and the mobile revolution that has been going on around the world, this particular, if you see the comic clipping, will tell you a lot that we have evolved a lot. If I say that a revolution has taken place, wherein we have moved from a simple mobile phone which was used for talking towards a smarter mobile phone, which is giving us more than what we had assumed, let's say 5 years back. And yes, today we are also feeling that whether even the apps that are available are becoming outdated, and we are really moving fast towards new stuff. So IBM Cognos Mobile is actually designed for users who need to view and analyze and share the IBM Cognos intelligence content wherever they are, whether on the road or at the office. You get the same great insight with a solution that is simple, reliable, and secure. So let us look at the transition or the shift that has been happening in many organizations today. And there are actually two major fundamental shifts that has happened. One is on the business front and the other one is on the IT department front. On the business front, if you see, the mobile users today are actually pushing for bringing their own personal devices into office. Just not bringing it into the office, but they are also looking out for the information to be made available to them when they are on go, when they are in the market, when they are actually in the area where they have to work on site. On the other hand, if you see, there is a shift happening on the IT department side, because now users are actually taking the charge and they want the IT department to simply support them. They want the IT department today to share the same experience that they had on the desktops to be made available on the mobile devices which they are carrying along with them. At the same time, IT needs to make sure that there is a secure mobile environment available for the whole knowledge sharing and to enable the business users in a very secured environment. Now, who are these mobile users, if we would like to see? A mobile user can be an executive who can be in office, or who cannot be, these executives can be at a boardroom or in a table meetings. We can also have someone like middle line managers, a sales rep who, let's say it's, he may be on the field, on the road, closing the business, but at the same time he needs the information to be made available to him so that he can take a timely decision and quickly close the deals. There can be a set of middle managers who need information at their fingertips at meetings in an ad hoc fashion. Or we can also have remote professionals. For example, let us take people working on in our oil refinery. They need the information. They need to monitor the information in almost a real-time basis. So these are the kind of users who are actually eyeing for the mobile technology. And if you see in these three sets of users, I have almost covered the complete set of people who would be requiring the mobile technology to provide them the information, which in turn will enable them to take an informed decision. Now let us look at what IBM Cognos Mobile is. Okay. So IBM Cognos Mobile is actually providing native application for iPad. It enables the information sharing on the BlackBerry, the Windows Mobile, and Symbian also. The whole thing, if you see, it has evolved in the knowledge sharing, in the transfer of information from a central location to a mobile device and vice versa. There was a time when there was an issue of a small form factor, but that has gone away because by now we have the smart devices or mobile phones which are more powerful, I will say, and they also have a larger screen. So those kind of issues has gone by. And offline users, there are, what we have found out that it's not necessary that all of the mobile users are actually online 24/7, because they would also be in an offline mode where they would like to do the analysis. So these kind of users have come in. The touch interface, it's not new, but it has been in a way rediscovered by Apple. So I won't be wrong in saying this. So you can have touch in Windows 7 also now, and you can use these functionalities of the mobile devices very easily to look at the active reports or the offline reports that are available. You can even be connected and you can browse through the information. So these native clients are actually available to you on the mobile sites. Let us look at the where we are and what are we actually targeting to, and who are the people and why the requirement of this whole mobile technology has actually come in. So if you say, as I said earlier, that it's not necessary that worker will be online 24/7. Therefore, we need information not only available even in an offline mode, but also when I am on move. So let us take an example. I have a person who is traveling. He would like to look at the information when he is traveling on plane. When he lands into a different city, he will be trying to do the analysis. So in air, he needs the information. He needs a trusted information which will help him take a decision. The other example which I can take, like in a meeting, let us in most it actually happens in most of the organizations where they have actually a set of reporting team. They work on the reports. They preempt that what their directors or the board members would be asking for, and they preempt and then they prepare themselves for with those set of reports, and they go into those meetings. At times, what happens is the requirement that is actually required, or their discussion may actually happen for a different time frame for which the reporting guys may not be ready at all. So in these kind of scenarios, again, you want to quickly get back and get into a momentum and help the board members take a timely decision. The third one, on the road. Hey, best example is the police constables whose office is the beat, or he or she works on a daily basis. By leveraging the GPS capabilities on their BlackBerry, prior to entering an area, they could actually run a report that automatically fills the geo-specific prompt that would list all of the dangerous criminals or outstanding warrants. So this actually helps the policeman or the beat officer to actually prepare themselves for any eventuality, and if required, they can call for necessary backup. Now let us look at the various interactive modes with the information that is getting shared offline or online with us. So the three options, the two major options are disconnected and connected. As I said, it's not necessary for us to be online 24/7 naturally every time. That actually costs us. So we would love to do that analysis even in an offline mode. So that is where something like Active Reports on iPad actually comes in to help you to do the analysis in a disconnected mode. The analysis that you can do in the disconnected mode can be very helpful, so that you take your decision, and then actually, if required, you can quickly switch over from disconnected mode to connected mode. Let us say when we are looking at a report at a aggregated level, we are looking at a dashboard. It shows us the information at a consolidated level, but we may like to drill down and see the information in detail. At that point of time, actually, I can convert myself into a connected mode, connect to my IBM Cognos server, and access the information there. So this connected and disconnected mode actually helps me do the analysis, do the kind of drill down that I require, take a proper decision. Now, once I take a proper decision, it's important that I act on it. How does the mobile device help me to act on it? So using the IBM Cognos Mobile apps for iPad, you can quickly do the fingerprinting stuff, and you can communicate or send an email to the respective team member whom you want to take some action, or you can give him the guidance. So we get the information by disconnected mode. In the disconnected mode, we do the analysis. Further information, if required, I can get it from the connected mode, and finally I can take action on top of it using the iPad, IBM Cognos Mobile iPad apps, and I can quickly communicate the actions with my team. So that, let's take an example. I get out of office, I'm in traffic, I do the analysis in disconnected mode or connected mode, and the actions that I want to be taken, I can communicate it on my way to the office, so that by the time I actually reach my office, I see that people have already started taking action on top of it. Now let us look at the mobile components which actually helps us in making this happen, and it's important. So the IBM Cognos Mobile includes two components, which is IBM Cognos Mobile Service and IBM Cognos Mobile Client. So as the name suggests, the IBM Cognos Mobile Service actually helps in the basic communication and between the IBM BI server and the mobile apps. It helps in transforming the IBM Cognos business intelligence reports and analysis for mobile consumption. It pushes the reports and analysis content to the mobile device. It also facilitates incoming and outgoing reports related and analysis related requests between the mobile device and the environment to search, browse, or run reports. So basically it takes care of the complete communication with the mobile device. At the same time, if I look at the IBM Cognos Mobile Rich Client, the mobile device contains the IBM Cognos Mobile Rich Client and the compressed and encrypted mobile content store. These components provide the functionality that the mobile device user needs to work with the IBM Cognos business intelligence reports and dashboards and do the analysis that is required. Now let us quickly look at the architecture. What you see on the screen is a typical single server installation of Cognos BI. So in this, I would like to highlight that when we are communicating with the mobile devices, most of the mobile devices actually talks to the gateway server, the BI gateway server directly, except for the BlackBerry Enterprise server. So BlackBerry Enterprise server actually acts as a mediator. It takes care of the translation and communication with the mobile device. So whatever information is there, it flows from the Cognos BI server to the BlackBerry server, and which in turn communicates with the BlackBerry device. So if I see IBM Cognos Mobile, it is an integrated component of IBM Cognos Business Intelligence. So you can install all of the IBM Cognos mobile components on the computer. So be it a single server installation or a distributed server installation. The components that I am talking about are three components: an application tier component, a gateway component, and a mobile client component. So if you are installing the IBM Cognos Mobile on one computer, you must install the application tier, the gateway, and the mobile component. So all three components along with the IBM Cognos BI. Now let us move on to the distributed architecture. So in case of distributed architecture, if IBM Cognos is installed on different computers, you must install the components differently. So in this case, the IBM Cognos Mobile Application Tier component with the IBM Cognos BI Application Tier component will be installed, and the IBM Cognos Mobile Gateway and Mobile Client components will be installed where the IBM Cognos BI Gateway is installed. Now, one of the important stuff that we mentioned was the security stuff, because it becomes very important, and as I have said, for any IT department, it becomes very important to make sure that the security is implemented properly. So if you look at this slide, so when I'm interacting with the IBM Cognos BI server in a connected mode, then of course the security authentication that is inbuilt in the Cognos BI server is liaised. So that complete security is maintained. So in case of iPads, where we can also do an offline analysis, then there is an extra level of security that is implemented. So even when you are sending an email or downloading it, this is configured, and it also takes care of the other security features that are available within the iPad also. So the idea that was to make the information secure, it's still very secure even in an offline mode. So far we have discussed and we have looked into the architecture on, how do we install the Cognos, IBM Cognos Mobile. Now, coming on to the core agenda of today's webinar, wherein we are talking about, excuse me, we are talking about the Cognos deployment on iPad. So with iPad, of course, as you saw in the previous screen, we can have both connected as well as disconnected mode. When I'm connected, it's well and good. I'm connected with the IBM Cognos BI server. It's as good as I'm browsing the IBM Cognos BI connections. So that is well taken care of. So let's discuss on something which is new, which is unique in this scenario. That is the disconnected mode. To enable the analysis in disconnected mode, what Cognos has come up with is actually the set of active reports. And these active reports are nothing but MHT files. So question comes up, do you need a separate studio for creating these reports? No, actually the Cognos BI studio that is available to you can itself be used to create the active reports, which can be deployed on your Apple iPad. So let us see, active reports on iPad. The very first thing that you will require is IBM Cognos Mobile app. Don't worry, this app is available for free if you go on to the Apple Store. What does this app actually do? It actually helps you in consuming the reports directly or indirectly. What do I mean by directly or indirectly? So what I mean by directly is you can actually execute these reports completely on the apps itself, so that the whole information, or you can do the analysis using the apps. At the same time, this apps also enables you to receive the reports via the email. So, from the IBM Cognos BI server, you can actually do the bursting, and the emails with the active reports can be sent across to you. And you can actually, activate the active report directly from your email. So as I said, do I need a new authoring environment? The answer is no. We do not need a separate authoring environment. As I said, we can still continue with the existing stuff, and there are nothing new that needs to be managed. Any active report can be consumed on the desktop and the iPad also. So when you are doing the development, you can actually look at the first cut look and feel on your desktop itself before even you deploy onto the iPad. And you can look at these active reports even in the business insight, which is available in Cognos 10. Now let us look at some of the solution highlights of this active report. As I said, I have been talking about it's available in disconnected mode. Nothing more to add. I think we have had this discussion. And as I said, even in the disconnected mode, you can do a huge amount of analysis on top of it, which clearly indicates that it's highly interactive. And as I said, that active report is nothing but MHT files, which makes it portable. You can actually send it across. And if you remember the previous slide wherein I clearly said that you can actually share this information on email and you can do a quick download. Yes, it's available for you. You can also do the analysis of this active reports, and within those set of active reports, you can actually do a drill down and look at the detailed information. And what you can actually do is you can also have a link on your active report which can take you to a connected mode onto the IBM Cognos BI server, and wherein you can look at the reports. Broad distribution, it does. It leverages the IBM Cognos BI platform. As I said, to create those active reports, you do not need to go anywhere, but you just use the existing Cognos BI platform. And talking of using the existing Cognos BI platform, you can, whatever security and, it's a complete single authoring environment that I'm talking about. So it's all available to you in one shot. if I'm creating an active report or something for doing the analysis in an offline mode, so if you go into your organization, you will see that there will be two sets of people. One which will have a huge amount of reports, and those will be very irregularly used by those mobile users. Whereas at the same time, you will have a set of people who will be using very small number of reports, but they will be using it more frequently and they will be doing more analysis on top of it. So what we can do is, for the first set of group, we can create a kind of more static reports which can be made available to them. Whereas for the second set of groups, we can create more analytical kind of reports for which they can, which will enable them to actually do the analysis, understand, the scenario and take an informed decision. Now let us look at the general guidelines for mobile reports. Do remember that iPad only has a specific area. Its screen is not expandable. So we also have to take care of the number of, the resolution of the whole report. So that is one of the most primary stuff which I think Manish will be discussing with you later on. Now, the other things that are available in the mobile reports are, you can create dashboards, you can create roll-ups, you can consolidate the data, you can have traffic lights in it, you can have various indicators, colored indicators, and drill-through functionality can be there. Now let us look at some of the supported stuff for mobile reports. So prompt pages and subset of inline prompts are available for you. As I have been talking, you can do the drill up, drill down, drill through. The Business Insight, Report Studio, Query Studio, Analysis Studio, Event Studio, these are available to you. In addition to all of this, you can actually use features like mail to and fingerprinting. If you remember, I had shown a slide wherein a person can take an informed decision based on the analysis that he or she may have done in connected or disconnected mode. And within the take action part, he actually does the fingerprinting and he can actually write his comments or highlight his comments and mail it across to his team to take proper action. Now we should be very careful about some of the not supported features for standard reports. So one of the important things that is not supported as of now is image as backgrounds. The other one is Java scripting within reports, and some complex formatting using an HTML elements. So these are the stuff that are not supported as of now. Now, if you see, and the question must have come up that, hey, I create an active report using the Report Studio. It's there on my desktop. I can look at it. What happens? Do I have to do anything special when I'm moving it onto the iPad? The answer is no. Actually, you do not need to take care of those things. Those are the things that is taken care by the apps by themselves. So if you see in this chart, in this slide, the years are represented in a particular fashion on the dashboard on the desktop of your computer. But once you move it onto the iPad, what it actually does is it actually captures the information and it converts into the iPad features automatically, and you don't have to do anything special for this. And one of the most important thing that has been highlighted with Apple stuff and iPad coming in is the swipe gesture. So if you look at the swipe gesture, swipe gesture can be enabled for you to actually take the control of the whole stuff. This which if this is a common gesture to move from, let's say, one data card to another data card and quickly do your analysis for, let's say, for different reasons. If you want to do a quick review, you can move from one region to another region quickly using the swipe gesture. The slide animation director is a property which defines the movement of cards, whether you want to swipe it from left to right or right to left or top to bottom or vice versa. The swipe gestures can also be used as triggers to update the reports through variables. Now, what do I mean exactly here? So in this kind of trigger, if you are changing one of the report from, let's say you are changing from one region to east region to north region, so what will happen once you change that, depending on those variables, the other relevant information that is present on the report will also change for north region. So this is how it will change. Now, it can be also coupled with the iterator control. If you see, I'm just highlighting the iterator control, the dots that you see there. So that can be, so if you see these dots, white dots that are present, so these are the iterator controls that are available to you. In case of, if you are looking at the this active report on the desktop, then in that case you will actually have to use the tabs that are present on the top of this report, the card 1, 2, and 3, 4 that you see. So that is the only thing, because that swipe gesture cannot be worked on the desktop. So on the desktop you will have to have this secondary control for you. Now let us quickly move on to the offline model. Report output is downloaded and it is cached on the device, so that when you are opening the reports on the iPad, you don't have to actually, it doesn't take time, it quickly pops up. All of the reports shown on the reports on my iPad list. So if you look at the iPad apps, there is a list which has reports on my iPad. So this information is cached, and when you connect online, then this information is refreshed for you. So when a report is rerun or refreshed, and the whole information is cached, and the older version is discarded, so that you are just looking at the latest version of the information that is available to you. And any drill up, drill down, or drill through, these are also cached, so that it gives you a seamless feeling of doing the analysis without any hiccups. You can also schedule these reports automatically to download on your device. So it's more like a mail, but you can actually schedule these reports to get refreshed. And whenever you connect onto the IBM Cognos BI server, these reports are automatically refreshed onto your mobile devices. Now, we have talked about the mobile device. We have talked about the active reports that enables you for doing the analysis in the disconnected mode. Now, let us look at the deployment strategies for these active reports, which actually enables you to do the analysis in an offline mode. So first one is email distribution, and we have already talked about the email distribution, that this information or the set of active reports can be sent across as an attachment to your email, which can be directly launched onto your iPad, because the IBM Cognos mobile apps actually enables you to do that. The second option is mobile distribution. If you remember the previous slide, there I indicated that you can actually schedule the reports to get refreshed, and whenever you connect with the IBM Cognos BI server, the reports will automatically get refreshed. So this is what we are talking about, mobile distribution. The third one is very clear. You can actually burst the reports onto your various network locations. Based on the authentication and the rights that you have given on the folders, users can actually log in and download these active reports onto their iPad. The fourth one, of course, IBM Cognos connection. If you have a direct connectivity, if you are connecting to IBM Cognos, you can not only just download these reports, you can even refresh those active reports as per your wish, and then you can download it onto your IBM connection. Now, let us talk about restricting consumptions. So what I mean to say is, not all IBM Cognos users are authorized to consume IBM Cognos Active Reports content. Users must be named users of Active Report recipient, or at least they should be enhanced consumers in order to consume the IBM Cognos Active Report content. So I think with this, I will hand you over to Mr. Manish Kotak, who will quickly show you active report on the desktop, and then he will be sharing his experience, do's and don'ts, and best practices with you. Over to you, Manish.
Thank you, Pratyush. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. So the next section that we will be looking at is a demo on active reports. Now, Pratyush has discussed all about the active reports on that active report is a new report type which has been introduced in IBM Cognos 10.1 and how it is disconnected and portable and interactive. So let us open up an active report and see how an active report looks like. I will be opening up an active report which exists on my machine. So I am entirely disconnected. Just a moment as I look at the active report. Okay. So as you can see, this is the active report. It is an active report dashboard which is available to the user. I hope all of you can see it because of network latency. So as you can see, I am highlighting the link which is the path of the active report which says that it is there on my C drive. So I'm accessing this particular active report in a disconnected environment, and entire data set has already been moved into this report. It is a .mht file which is available for the user and it can be analyzed independently. So as you can see, there are 4 different sections which have been created in the dashboard. The first section is the overview section. The second section is the finance section. The third one is for the sales and marketing, and the fourth one is for operations. So we have actually used a functionality of tab in order to create multiple dashboards and combine them into one single dashboard. So the overview section gives us the health of the organization. It gives us the quarterly numbers for some of the most important KPIs, net income, marketing cost per lead. So it gives us the value. It gives us the current value for the quarter. It also gives us the target and the status and the trend. So the trend is in comparison with the last quarter. It also gives us a quarterly trend which is available to us so that we can find out how the net income is moving forward. It also gives us a bullet chart wherein we can clearly see that we can compare the actuals with the target. You can also see that there is a link which has been defined. Now there is a drill through which has been created on each of the metrics. So if you look at the net income, it will appear as a hyperlink to you. Now a drill through has been created on net income, and now we are in the disconnected mode. But if you want to have some more analysis on the net income or any of the KPIs which are listed on the dashboard, you can simply click on that particular KPI and you will be prompted to enter your credentials and you will be logged onto the Cognos server, wherein you can execute the report which has been defined on the drill. So it is a good combination wherein you can clearly define what should be disconnected so that all the high-level summary can be included in the dashboard, and whatever detailed information is there, that can be pushed back in the form of detailed reports, and it can be accessed when the user gets online. So it is on demand. Also, you can see that there are various charts which are available on the dashboard. We can see that there is monthly breakdown of financials. It is a trend chart which presently gives us the value for the product alpha. Now there is a radio button bar if you want to see the values or the chart for some other product line. You can simply click on it. So let's click on charger. So as and when you click on charger, the report is so interactive and so responsive that it will immediately give you the values for charger. Now you might experience some latency, but from my machine when I access it, there is no latency over here. The result is instantaneous. Similarly, there is the breakdown of revenue and win rates, which has also been provided, which is the third chart. And over here we have again, there is a radio button selection which has been given. So if you want to change from Europe and if you want to see the numbers for North America, all you need to do is to select the value for North America and the card will automatically be shown. Moving on to the next tab, which is the finance tab. So here also we have multiple criteria which are available to us, and we have different combination of objects, list and pie chart and a trend chart which is available for the user for analysis. So when I click, now this particular dashboard presently gives me the data for North America. If we want to browse the data for Europe, all we need to do is to simply click on Europe, and instantaneously the results will be shown for Europe. So as you can see, it is disconnected and it is portable and it is interactive, all of it. So moving to the next section. In the next section, we shall be discussing the do's and the don'ts and the troubleshooting part. So if we have any business users on the call, please do not get worried about this, because this is all technical in nature and this would be handled by the report developer or the report author in your organization. So you need not worry about it. So in the do's and the don'ts section, we shall be looking at some of the guidelines that we need to follow while building an active report. So the first guideline is keep your deck simple. Now the deck should include only the data which is unique to every card. Any sort of common information like common styling or if you have a static text, that should be placed outside the deck. It should not be placed inside the deck, because if it is placed inside the deck, that particular set of information will be repeated for every card. It will be applied to every card and it will increase the size of your active report. So always keep in mind that any common information should be placed outside the deck. So as you can see in the example on the slide, there are two decks which are available to us. The deck on the left hand side, which has been shaded in green, that has been, in this particular deck, formatting has been applied to a block, and the block then contains the data deck. Whereas on the other side, the one which has been marked in red, there we have the block which is placed inside the deck. So here the formatting information will get repeated. The net effect of both of these two decks would be exactly the same, but because of the second one, the file size will increase. Moving on to the next slide, which is use classes. So classes is a feature in Cognos Report Studio wherein author can basically define the styling elements, and once those styling elements have been defined, those styling elements can be applied to multiple objects. So you define your formats and your styling once, and then you apply it multiple times. So again, this can also bring down the size of your active report, because whenever you're using a deck or a data deck, especially a data deck, depending upon the data, the cards will get generated. And if you're applying the formatting information to every card, the size will increase. So it's better to use classes so that you define your classes once and reuse those sets of classes, which will keep your file size down. So as we move on to the next slide says set your default values. Now default values, whenever applicable, those should be set, because the main important criteria here is that whenever your reporting application is loaded, the end user should see proper data with the desired context. So in order to demonstrate this, what I will do is I will open up an active report which does not set default values, so that you'll come to know why setting the default values is important. Let me just go through the file. Okay. Now this is again an active report, which is, I hope you guys can see the active report. I'll wait for about 5 seconds so that it appears. Okay, moving on. This particular active report presently has a data button bar. It gives me different buttons for each of the product line, and it also gives me a pie chart. But the issue over here is, looking at the pie chart, the user will not come to know whether this pie chart belongs to camping equipment or whether it belongs to golf equipment. So basically I cannot identify the context of the pie chart. It is only when I select golf equipment I will be shown the pie chart for golf equipment. So initially it is a gray area for the user. The user does not know what is the information he is looking at. Moving on to the next point, next guideline. which is set sizes. Okay, whenever you're using a data deck or a deck, you need to keep in mind that not all the cards on the deck will be of the same size. And whenever you have a card which is of a different size that the user selects, other objects which are there on the active report will be moved to accommodate that particular card. And to the user, it might appear to the user as if the objects are bouncing on the screen. So this is a very undesirable effect which can be avoided by setting the sizes. So all you need to do is to set the size for your charts or the objects, and you also need to set the size for your decks. Also, one more thing which is to be kept in mind is even list and crosstabs. Whenever you are filtering the list and the crosstab, the width of the columns of the list get readjusted depending upon the content. So you will also have to fix the list sizes, the column widths for the list, if you want to avoid this bouncing effect. The next guideline is set deck sizes. So in this particular, whenever you are using a deck, you need to make sure that you I'm sorry for that. You need to make sure that you set the sizes, especially if you're using an animation, because if you have not set, if you have enabled animation, there is a potential danger that that entire animation might swipe through the screen, which will again create an undesirable effect for the user. So I will again open up an active report, which will demonstrate why this particular property should be set always whenever animation is enabled. So let me just browse to that particular active report. Okay, I'll just wait for 5 seconds over here so that you get the active report in front of you. Okay, let's move on. So as you can see, in the active report, there is a data button bar. Again, it is a similar report. There is a data button bar and there is a pie chart. And depending upon the data button bar that we select, depending upon the product line we select, we will see the pie chart for it. So when I select golf equipment, there is a large swipe. I'm not sure if you have noticed this, but I'll do it one more time so that because of the network latency, let's hope that you did not miss out on that. So I'll select mountaineering equipment, and you will notice that the pie chart will swipe across the screen there. So in order to avoid this sort of a behavior, you need to make sure that you set the sizes for the deck. Moving on to the next point. Avoid nesting data containers. So again, this point is important, keeping in mind that you should always keep your active report as simple as possible. And you should not nest data containers within each other. So as you can see in this example, there are two different reports which have been created. The report on the left-hand side actually nests a data container within a data container. So you have a data deck for product line and you have a data deck for year. Now this particular data deck for year has been embedded within the data deck for product line. So make sure that you don't do this, because it will unnecessarily increase the number of decks that you're using and it will complicate the design. So always, whenever you face such a situation, always create one single deck with two different items. So instead of having two different decks over here, you can create the deck like the deck on the right hand side. Create one single deck for year and product line. The next design tip is to segment the deck. Now, as you can see on the slide, we have two different approaches. The approach on the left hand side is the segmentation approach, and the approach on the right hand side is the filtering approach. So we are kind of comparing these two approaches. So if you will notice, the list on the right hand side, it is a huge list which has 3 different columns. It has your product line, it has product type, it has quantity. Now, if the user wants to filter out on let's say on the records for filter out all the records for product line camping equipment, then all of this will be performed in the interactive behavior area. So whenever you have opened up the report, all of this computation will actually happen on the report. So if your list is large, the time taken for this interactive behavior to respond can be more. So in order to instead of filtering such a huge list, it is always better to segment one single list into multiple lists. So right now the requirement is to filter out on the basis of product line. So as you can see on the left hand side figure, it has 5 different smaller lists. So these smaller lists will be created in the form of a card, and it will be shown to the user whenever the user selects a particular value, whenever the user selects a particular product line. So this approach, we have realized a lot of performance benefits from this approach, and the performance benefits are far more noticeable when you have a large list in place. So as the list grows, you will come to know that the filtering approach is getting slower, and this approach is really effective. So always keep in mind to segment your decks. The next slide is about layout component reference. So layout component reference, again like classes, it is a feature in Report Studio which allows one single object which is there on the report to be shared, and it can be placed at multiple places. So if you will notice the report which is there on the slide, we have 2 similar looking reports. Actually they are one and the same. They are exactly the same. We have 2 different charts which gives us the sales numbers for 2 different cities. So when the user selects Los Angeles, the first report gives us the number for Los Angeles, and the second report gives us the number for Boston. So these 2 charts are exactly the same. So instead of creating 2 different charts in the report, what a report author must do is to create one single chart and use a layout component reference, which will be a reference to the first chart which has been created. So this limits the duplication of object creation, and subsequently it will minimize your file size. The best part about this approach is your design changes will be very easy. So if you want to change something in the chart, you have only created one single object. You just have to change that particular object and all your references would be updated automatically. So need not worry about changing 10 objects if you have created 10 different objects. So this is a better approach in that sense. The next design tip is name controls and queries. This is more from a maintainability and readability point of view. You will notice that as your report grows in functionality, you will add on objects to the report, and the default naming convention which is provided gets less and less meaningful. So under this circumstance, you should always look to rename your queries, give proper names to the queries so that someone who is maintaining the application can actually determine what is the purpose of the query or what is the purpose of a data button bar. So similar to naming your queries and controls, you should also name your variables. One convention that we use is prefix the variable name with a V or a VAR. So that way you can clearly identify that this is a variable in the report. The next design tip is to reuse the queries. Now as you create your active report, as your active report grows in functionality, you will notice that the number of queries grow very quickly in an active report, because every time you drag and drop an object onto the report area, a new query is created. So in order to reduce the complexity, you should look out to minimize the number of queries, and one way of doing that is to reuse the queries. So wherever you have similar sort of data requirement, like the example that you can see on the slide, you have a data button bar and you have a data deck. Both of them need one single element, which is product line. So we can club the query for these 2 requirements, and we can just have one single query. So reuse your queries. It is better from a maintenance point of view. Alignment. Always set alignment because it is better for the end user experience. And there are two different alignments which Cognos offers. One is the horizontal alignment and another is the vertical alignment. One thing that you should keep in mind is that you should always align as close to the data as possible. For instance, if you're trying to center out a chart, if you want to place a chart at the center of the report, you will have to set the alignment properties to the table or to the block in which the chart is placed. Table and the block would form your basic building blocks when it comes to alignment. So table supports horizontal as well as vertical alignment, and your block supports only horizontal alignment. But the advantage of using the block is that it can handle overflow of data. So whenever if there is an object which if the size of the object increases, the block will be able to handle it by transforming itself into a scrollable area. So that's the advantage of using a block. The next design tip, which is not just relevant for active report, but for any sorts of report, for any of the standard reports as well on Cognos, is to test your queries. You should always test your queries before it is given to the user before the report is released to the user. And in active report, there is an additional debug menu which is provided, which can be invoked by pressing Ctrl+Shift+D and then right-click. So there is a specific debug menu that we will be looking at in the troubleshooting section. The next design tip is related to specifically to the iPad. So as Pratyush had discussed, that iPad resolution is 1024 by 768 pixels, and the report area which is available to us is 1024 by 704. So if you're looking to have reports which will be used on the iPad, you should always look to use these particular resolutions. So in order to achieve this, you will have to size your objects appropriately so that you can fit all your objects within these resolutions. So every individual object needs to be sized. Obviously, using iPad screen sizing improves end user experience because the user need not scroll to any other area. There will be no scrollable regions in the report, and all the information will be available to the user at one single go. So it's always better to have iPad resolution. Also, iPad resolution is consumable across multiple platforms. So this resolution transfers well on the desktop as well. So if you happen to use this resolution, the desktop reports would also just come out fine. Another iPad consideration is that you should remove the padding which has been set on the page body object. Now the page body object has a default padding of 2 pixels, so you should make it 0. Otherwise, if you have not made it 0 and if you have used iPad resolution, it will give you a small scrollable area. So to get rid of that scrollable area, you should always remove the padding. This section has other iPad design considerations like the scrollable regions. Now, if you have a report which is bigger than the size of the iPad, it will get into the scrollable area, and you will need to swipe to see the off-screen areas. So that can be a bit inconvenient at times, but your list box will be automatically replaced by your drop-down list on the iPad. So always keep this in mind, and don't be surprised if you have a list box which works well on the desktop, but it will obviously get transformed once you move it to the iPad. Now, the size of the touch region is also important to be considered. Now, Apple recommends a size of 44 pixels. This is a minimum recommendation that must be followed, because if this is not followed and if the size of the touch regions are small, then the user will find it really inconvenient to browse through the report and navigate and interact with the report. There is no equivalent swipeable deck on the desktop. So obviously the swipe feature is not available on the desktop, and under such circumstance you should always have a secondary control in place. So if you have a swipeable area, make sure that you have a secondary control like a button bar. So as you can see in the image, there is a dots indicator which is for swipe on the iPad, and there is also a button bar. So this button bar can be accessed by the users who are accessing the report on the desktop. Moving on to the last section of the presentation, which is troubleshooting. Now, there are three areas that needs to be monitored whenever you're looking to troubleshoot an active report. The first is the connection, second is the variable information, and third is the information. The connection is the basic building block of an active report. So whenever you build an active report, you set up interactive behavior between objects. These interactive behavior between the object is set up by using a connection. And a connection, as you can see on the screen, I will just look to highlight. A connection is basically a combination of four different things. You have the source control, you have the target control, you have the interactive behavior, whether you want to filter out the results or you want to select a result, and you have the variables. So these are the four important aspects of a connection, and these must be checked whenever you have issues with the report and whenever you're trying to debug or troubleshoot a report. Moving on to the next slide, which is variables. Now, as I mentioned earlier, that you can press Ctrl-Shift-D in an active report and right-click to give you the debug menu. Now, debug menu has an option of showing the variables. So it will give you the different, it will show you the current values which have been set for the variables. Now, the best advantage of this particular menu is that this particular menu is available to you while you are accessing the report. So you can interact with the report and see if the variables, if the desired variables are being set with correct values or not. So that can be a useful debugging tool. Also over here you can set the values, manually so that you can test out specific conditions. Coming on to the last slide of the presentation, which is the information menu. Now, information menu is again very important. It is a part of the debug menu, and it tells you it gives you an idea about the internal information about the objects on the active report. So this is a very valuable tool for ensuring that the queries are filtered properly and no unnecessary data or images are included in the reporting application. So it basically gives you three things. It gives you what is the number of charts or list or objects that you have created. It also gives you how many controls are there in the report, and it also gives you what is the actual record set in the report. So by that perspective, it is very important. So we are now open to questions.
I think we have received some questions. Let's take them one by one. So I think, while we were having the discussions, we have received some questions. So we will take a minute to go through those questions and we will try to take them one by one. So I think one of the questions that we have is from Sandeep Ganjan. I hope I am pronouncing correctly. If not, please pardon me. Does it work with a specific OS? So Sandeep, actually, you will have to see that it's a combination of both IBM Cognos BI server as well as the mobile apps. So what you can quickly do is actually visit the IBM website, and there you will get the details of the OS that are compatible. So basically on iPad with the IBM Cognos mobile apps. So on iOS it runs.
The next question that we will be taking up is from Mr. Sandeep Gajanan. Do you have any tie-up with any mobile companies to provide built Cognos in mobile? Now, this particular mobile application that we are talking about for the iPad, this is freely available, as we have discussed earlier. It is freely available in the App Store, and anyone can download it from there and configure it on your iPad.
So I think next question is from Mr. Achyut Nayak. The question is, as there is high dependency on web connectivity, especially at remote scenarios, so how is this addressed? Is there a backend server that buffers the data? So see, we need to understand what we are talking about here is basically the iPad and the disconnected reports on the iPad. So what the active report actually does is it stores the information within itself, and it actually doesn't store the numbers, but it stores the information in the in a encrypted format, wherein it actually stores it, if I say, in the form of data cards. Rather than storing the number, it stores the data cards, and that is what is displayed. So in the disconnected mode, of course, it is available to you. And actually, what you are highlighting is this is one of the trigger why we had to look out for the disconnected or offline analysis, because of the connectivity issues that we had in some places.
The next question is from Mr. Vikram Talwar, and the question is, if there are drill-through reports, can we package all the related reports in embedded reports together embedded in the active report? Yes, that is possible and it can be done. The next question is from Mr. Ketan Patel. Can I drill down in a map report? Now, yes, you can drill down, but as far as an active report is concerned, there is no drill down functionality as such. So the drill down can be implemented, but there is a workaround for implementing the drill down. So you will have to basically show another card in whenever you're drilling down. So yes, it can be done, and the map report can be drilled down. The next question is from Mr. Sridhar N. Do I have to consider different design approach for iOS and Android while designing Active Report? The answer is no. The design of the active report still happens to be with the Report Studio. So Report Studio is the single authoring environment where you will be creating active reports. So no different studios, the approach will still be the same.
So, actually it's good that there are, a few questions on licensing, like one from Mr. Sandeep, the other from Mr. Achit Naik, and one more question on licensing. So it's actually good that we are getting this kind of questions also. But I think, you will have to actually get in touch with our salespeople to get a better understanding of the licensing and how you can have the Cognos IBM Cognos Mobile enabled for yourself.
So with this, we believe that we have answered all of the questions, and just in case, we'll wait for 5 more minutes and see if there are more questions pouring in.
So I think, we got a new question. Can we get a demo on iPad to show end users? So one good thing is, once you download the IBM Cognos Mobile app for iPad, so there are actually some set of sample reports which are already available to you free of cost, and you can actually, use that to showcase within your organization. So that question was from Mr. Ashish Dabral. I think we have another question coming from Kiran Jadhav. Is there any documentation of Cognos? Yes, ample of documents are available on the IBM network. You can actually go through those documents. So there are plenty of documents available around this. So I think we have one more question coming up from Ketan Patel. The question is, how can I connect Cognos Mobile in iPad with Cognos BI server in desktop so that it updates report automatically? So basically you will have to take care that, with the help of your iPad, you are actually able to connect to the LAN on which, your desktop is like a server. So if you are able to access that server using the LAN connection, like wireless connection, then you can actually connect to it. If you are outside the LAN, and then you will have to see that you have the static public IP address available so that you can actually connect to your server.
Well, thanks Mr. Pratyush and Mr. Manish for your session on Cognos deployment on iPad. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. Thank you all. Thank you for your support. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
बरोबर नहीं ठंड 70 लोग आए थे खाली
नहीं एक समय पे 124 तक गया था, उसका फिर वापस गिरा। 124 जो मैंने देखा।
आई थिंक वो ये तभी होगा जब ये किया ना